In this video, I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on how to change the PTU fluid in your Ford Bronco Sport Badlands. The Badlands is a little bit different because the PTU is liquid cooled, unlike the rest of them. Now they do all take the same fluid, and that's the synthetic hypoid gear oil. Do not just go into your local Walmart and buy regular old gear oil. You're going to have big problems with that PTU. It is under extreme pressure and only hypoid gear oil is recommended. This fluid does need to be changed often. If you just bought one, it doesn't matter how new it is or how low the miles, I highly recommend you change this fluid. First reason is it has irregular fill levels from the factory. Sometimes I've drained these and only get 9 ounces of fluid out. Sometimes I get 15 ounces out. So whenever you get your Badlands, change this fluid, put the correct fluid in at the correct level. So the second problem with this PTU is it's extremely close to the exhaust, which is extremely hot. That heat transfers into the PTU, which causes the temperature of the fluid to rise and get extremely hot. And that's going to degrade the fluid quickly. We need to remove the skid plates. We have 4 10mm bolts across this front side that we need to remove. Once those are removed, we have 6 13mm bolts to remove, a couple across the back, and then 2 down the side. Skid plate, it's extremely heavy, so I just use a floor jack underneath and then just let it come down with the floor jack. Alright, so with the shield off, you can see the PTU unit right here. These are the cooling lines. You do not detach these. On the Badlands only, you can loosen up this pump and slide this back, and then it's going to drain out. Alright, so to find your fill plug, it's on the passenger side. It's going to be just to the rear of that drive shaft coming out. As you can see, I have an Allen wrench sticking out of the fill plug right there. Right there is the fill plug. Now if you just use a standard 8mm Allen wrench, there's no reason to remove the passenger wheel. You can also use an 8mm Allen socket. But if you do that, you're going to have to bring it out in between the kind of wheel area right there, because you're going to need about a 12-inch extension. But there is no need to remove the passenger wheel. So if you want to use an 8mm socket extension, you can definitely use that, as I have that right there. And then you'll see my socket extension come out right there. Now we can attach a ratchet. Alright, so right here is the cooler, and then you'll see that stud sticking out right there, and then another one right there. And then that's what we need to loosen up, and then we just slide this back a little bit, and all the fluid is going to drain out right in here. So here's what fits really well, guys. You need a 1/4-inch ratchet with a flexible head. If you have a straight one, it's going to hit down here on the frame. So a flexible head gets the handle away. 8mm socket. And that's how you get that bolt out. And here's more of a close-up view of what it looks like. You need that flex head so you miss that part of the frame. So you need the same setup here on the bottom bolt. That's why you have to have this flex head to miss this piece right here. And we'll go ahead and remove that bottom bolt. And here's kind of a close-up view of that bottom bolt. All right, now that we have both of the bolts out of the cooler, we're just going to slide the cooler back, and then the fluid is going to drain down from right here. So just make sure you have a bucket underneath. All of the fluid is pretty well drained out. It's coming to just barely a trickle. So now you see that blue O-ring. You're going to want to use some O-ring lubricant. And then you want to coat that O-ring with the O-ring lubricant. Now we can push the pump back into the housing. I like to use these clear graduated containers because I like to know how much fluid comes out of whatever it is I'm working on. And it looks like I got out about 14 ounces. Now this is totally up to you, but I grind off about half the amount of threads on this end. You can see that the nut is basically formed in there, so this amount of thread sticking out on this side does nothing other than get in the way. So I grind about half of that off with a hand grinder, and then it's a heck of a lot easier to put these in and take them off again with your socket. So if you want, grind down the threads on this side before you reinstall these. Before we put our studs back in, we want to put on just a little bit of anti-seize lubricant onto the threads. Now as the anti-seize is on the threads, we can go ahead and thread these studs back in. Now once you get these kind of snug, you want to go back and forth between the top one and the bottom one. And I just go about 2 rotations on the bottom one, and then go to the top, and then go to the bottom, then go to the top. Basically you want to tighten this up even so you don't pinch the O-ring. So once you have these stud bolts pretty much snug, then you can go about 1/4 of a turn past snug. Or if you have a torque wrench, you can go to 6 pound-feet of torque. Now I've searched the internet high and low. I've searched manuals. There's really nothing that says in black and white what the torque spec is on this. But if you look up like a grade 8 bolt, which is kind of a standard bolt for an M5, if you over torque these, you will snap them off, that's for sure. They are not high grade bolts. Then that torque spec for a grade 8 standard bolt, to make sure you don't snap it, to recommend no problems at all, is going to be 6 pound-feet. I think if you go maybe to 9, you'll be okay. But I can basically tell you, most people don't have a torque wrench, so once you get them to snug, you go about 1/4 of a turn. Or I recommend 6 pound-feet of torque. Once you have them torqued down, spray brake cleaner along here. We're going to clean this all up because I like to drive these for maybe a day or 2 and come back and check to make sure they're not leaking before I put on the bottom skid plate. So let's go ahead and clean this oil up. I just want to get all the oil off of here so when I check this in a couple days, I can tell if it's leaking or not. All right, so now we're ready to pump our new fluid up into our PTU unit. You can see I have the tubing going right up in there in the side. You need to hold that in place because it doesn't go in very far, and once you start pumping, it will probably fall out. Also, you want to make sure your vehicle is on level ground. I've just got mine on ramps right now so I can give you guys a little bit better video. But you want to make sure it's level, and you're going to fill it until you spill it. Make sure you hold the tubing in place. Now you just start pumping, and make sure you hold the tubing in place up there on the PTU, otherwise it will shoot out of that fill hole. So you're just going to keep pumping until it starts to run out. And you do want to pump this real slow. If you pump it fast, you'll start to get some to run out prematurely. So you'll know it's full when it starts to come out the fill hole with a steady stream. Now we're ready to install the fill plug, but we need to put thread sealant on the threads of the fill plug. Do not use Teflon tape. You're not plumbing a bathroom fixture. We're going to use Permatex Ultra Gray gasket maker. This is what comes on it from the factory. So we're just going to put a little bead around the threads. All right guys, so I put this vehicle on level ground. I took it off my ramps and I put in 20 ounces before it started to spill out. So this vehicle took 20 ounces of fluid. All right, so now it's time to install that fill plug. And I've got a nice bead of the Permatex gasket maker all the way around on the threads. We'll go ahead and install the fill plug. Now you want to torque the fill plug, and I've found all different kinds of torque values on the internet. Now I'm going to tell you to torque it to 11 pound-feet of torque. Alright, once you've got your fill plug all torqued down, clean up the area with brake cleaner, and then we can check it later on in a day or two to make sure it's not leaking. And that's all there is to it, guys. Now I recommend to go about 1 or 2 days of driving, or a minimum of 50 miles, climb underneath and make sure there's no leaks, then bolt on the skid plate. If you put the skid plate on now, it may leak over several weeks before you ever even notice it. Congratulate yourself on saving $250 doing this all on your own and not taking it to a dealership. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.